You think she forgot the conversation the moment it ended, like your words evaporated into the air and disappeared. But they didn't. She carried them with her. She replayed them on the way home. She analyzed the tone you used, the pauses you didn't notice, the way your eyes shifted when you said certain things. She felt something she wasn't prepared for, something that didn't fade when the moment ended. And now, hours later, days later, she still feels it in places she didn't expect. Because a single conversation, when it hits the right emotional vein, doesn't leave quietly. It leaves a mark, a deep one that echoes in her mind for days, sometimes weeks, long after she pretends it meant nothing. To you, it was just a moment. To her, it became a loop she can't stop revisiting. And the reason is simple. Women don't remember conversations. They remember impact, the shift in their heartbeat, the crack in their defenses, the feeling of being understood or exposed in a way that no one else ever managed. This video reveals the psychology of emotional imprinting, and how one interaction, one seduced, one unexpected moment of connection can make her unable to stop thinking about you, no matter how hard she tries to forget. Most men enter a conversation trying to impress her with clever lines, perfect delivery, or polished charm. They focus on the wording, the timing, the performance. But what lingers inside her is never the content. It's the shift you create inside her. A woman doesn't replay your sentences. She replays the feeling you awakened. Her attraction, her curiosity, her emotional pull toward you isn't born from logic. It's born from sensation, something subtle, something unexpected, something she couldn't fully interpret in the moment. Her mind stores emotion before information. It prioritizes how you made her feel over what you actually said. You can spend hours constructing the perfect story, the perfect joke, the perfect response. But if none of it changes her emotional state, it dissolves the moment it leaves your mouth. But if one moment, one shift in your tone, one look, one truthful sentence hits her deeper than she expected, her brain marks that moment as significant, and significant moments become loops she revisits without meaning to. That's why she remembers something small you didn't notice saying. That's why she thinks about the conversation days later. That's why she feels a strange pull towards you, even if nothing obviously romantic happened. Emotional imprinting is quiet, but powerful. It happens when something inside her moves, when she recognizes depth she didn't anticipate, when she feels seen in a way she didn't prepare for, when she senses a grounded masculine presence she rarely encounters. She won't remember the structure of your conversation. She won't remember half the words you used, but she will remember the warmth in her chest, the tension in her stomach, the sudden softness in her voice, the shift in her breath when you said something that hit the core of her. These are the sensations her mind attaches meaning to. These are the sensations she replays in silence. She forgets the details, but she remembers the impact. A woman's attraction doesn't ignite during calm, predictable exchanges. It ignites in the exact moment her emotional rhythm is disrupted, when something you do breaks the pattern she expected and sends a shock through her nervous system. That disruption, that spike, is what her mind cannot yet ignore. You create emotional imprint not by performing, but by interrupting the script she thought the conversation would follow. You surprise her emotionally, not with theatrics, but with authenticity. A sentence that hits deeper than she anticipated. A calm reaction where she expected ego. A moment of truth where she expected surface-level talk. You interrupt her pattern, the pattern of shallow dialogue, predictable responses, or men trying too hard to impress her. When you don't fit into the mold she prepared for, her brain jolts awake. She becomes alert, aware, attuned to you in a way she wasn't seconds before. You make her feel seen without trying, by noticing something subtle about her, by responding to her energy instead of her words, by catching the emotion she hides behind the smile. And that kind of recognition isn't casual to a woman. It's rare, it's intimate, it's unforgettable. You reveal depth she didn't anticipate, a thought she never expected a man to articulate, a vulnerability delivered without weakness, a perspective that shows you live in a world deeper than the one she's used to dealing with. And when that depth appears unexpectedly, it cracks open something inside her. Her brain, without asking her permission, tags the interaction as important, significant, worth remembering. And the moment her brain does that, the replay loop begins. This is emotional imprinting. Her mind returns to the moment because it felt something it couldn't categorize or dismiss. She'll analyze it, relive it, feel it again and again, long after the conversation ends. Because tension, surprise, or vulnerability, one spark and she remembers you. A woman will never admit this out loud, but the deepest fantasy she carries isn't about being desired. It's about being understood. Desire is common, attention is cheap, compliments are forgettable. But the feeling of being understood without having to explain herself? That hits her in a place no surface-level attraction can touch. Most men try to access a woman through admiration. Few try to access her through comprehension. And that is why so few ever leave an emotional imprint. You create imprint when you name emotions she hides, when you casually acknowledge the tension in her voice, the hesitation in her eyes, or the weight she tries to mask behind a practiced smile. Not by interrogating her, not by prying, but by showing you can read the emotional truth she didn't verbalize. That alone separates you from every man who only hears her words. You create imprint when you recognize what others overlook, the micro shifts in her tone, the humor she uses to deflect, the softness she shows only for a second before pulling it back. These are the parts of herself she thinks no one sees. So when you see them, she feels exposed in a way that feels strangely comforting instead of frightening. And most importantly, you hear the silence behind her words. You sense the meaning she doesn't express. You respond to the feeling she's trying to hide. That level of awareness disarms her. It makes her feel known. And for a woman, feeling known is the most intimate experience she can have without anyone touching her. This is where the fantasy begins. Not the fantasy of a man wanting her, but the fantasy of a man understanding her without her needing to perform. Understanding is the doorway to the version of her she never shows the world. And the moment you open that door, even slightly, she cannot forget it. Because now, every man she meets afterward feels shallow by comparison. Every conversation feels thinner. Every connection feels weaker. When she feels seen, she can't unsee you. It's never your charm that leaves a woman thinking about you for days. Charm fades. Wit dissolves. Performance evaporates the moment you walk away. What lingers, what haunts her, what follows her into her thoughts long after the conversation ends, is your presence, the calmness in your demeanor, the grounded tone you speak with, the awareness in your eyes that tells her you are fully there. Not performing, not pretending, not trying to win her approval. Presence is the masculine energy her mind cannot forget. Because presence is rare. Most men talk fast. fidget, overcompensate, or chase validation. Very few stand rooted in themselves, steady, composed, unforgettable. And it's that steadiness that imprints on her. What she remembers is not the moment you impressed her, but the moment she felt you weren't performing. The moment she realized you weren't bending to her reactions, weren't nervous, weren't selling yourself. You were simply being. That authenticity disarms her. It makes her feel both safe and awakened, a combination so powerful it carves itself into her memory. She remembers the stillness in your voice, not rushed, not seeking approval, not dipping into insecurity. A voice that carries quiet authority, an authority that doesn't need to be loud to be felt. She remembers the way you held eye contact, not aggressively, not desperately, but with a presence that told her you were seeing her without trying to take anything from her. Eye contact like that creates pressure and comfort at the same time. It tells her she can't hide, and strangely, she doesn't want to. She remembers the sense that you were unshakable, that the world couldn't push you off balance, that her beauty, her energy, her emotions, none of it could move you unless you chose to be moved. That type of masculine stability awakens something primal in the female mind, a deep sense of trust wrapped in a spark of desire, because women remember men who make them feel safe and awakened simultaneously. That duality lives in her long after the words fade. She won't replay your clever lines. She won't recite the exact sentences you said. She won't cling to the literal conversation. She holds on to something deeper. She doesn't replay your words. She replays your energy. What haunts a woman is rarely the perfect line, the flawless delivery, or the confident posture. What haunts her is the moment she sees something real, something unfiltered, slip through your composure. When a man shows true vulnerability, not weakness, not neediness, but authenticity stripped of performance, it bypasses every defense she's built. She's spent her whole life learning to guard herself against male intentions, against manipulation, against men trying to impress or win her. But vulnerability is the one thing she's not prepared for. It cuts through the shield faster than charm ever could. A sincere confession, one that isn't dramatic, isn't designed for effect, but spoken with calm truth, lands in her like a weight. She may act unaffected, but her mind stores it instantly. Because vulnerability reveals the part of you she can't read, the part she wasn't expecting, the part that makes you human in a way most men never allow themselves to be. A story that shows depth goes even deeper when you open a window into your past, an experience that shaped you, a moment of loss, a lesson learned the hard way. It shifts her entire perception of you. Suddenly, you're not just a man she's speaking to. You're a man with layers, with shadows, with scars. And women remember men who have lived, who have felt, who carry a world behind their eyes. A raw truth that exposes your humanity hits her hardest of all. When you say something honest, something that reveals your values, your fears, your hopes, not in a performance, but in a grounded, steady tone, she feels it in her body. It's intimacy without touch. It's connection without effort. It's the moment she realizes you're not performing for her approval, because a man who can speak honestly is a man who isn't afraid of being seen. This is the vulnerability paradox. The moment you stop trying to impress her is the moment she becomes impressed. The moment you stop trying to win her is the moment she lowers her guard. The moment you reveal something true is the moment she starts replaying the conversation in her mind. Because vulnerability creates emotional intimacy without physical touch. It gives her access to the part of you she didn't expect to meet, the inner world she didn't know existed beneath your calm presence. And once she sees that part of you, she can't unsee it. She can't file you away with the others. She can't forget what she felt in that instant. She thinks about the version of you she wasn't expecting to meet. And that version is the one she remembers for weeks. Once an emotional imprint is made, the rest doesn't happen in the conversation. It happens in her imagination. That's where you become dangerous. Because the moment she walks away, her mind begins filling in every empty space with possibility. And possibility is far more powerful than anything you could have said out loud. Her imagination takes the emotional spark you created and expands it into something larger, something layered, something she can't easily escape. The first sign is subtle. She remembers lines you barely noticed. Something small you said, a sentence, a tone shift, a passing comment, becomes the scene she replays in her mind. Not because of the words, but because of the feeling they stirred. She attaches meaning to your smallest expressions, reading depth into things you didn't realize you revealed. This is how imprint begins to take root. Then she starts imagining future conversations. She rehearses what she might say next time. She wonders how you'd respond. She constructs scenarios, quiet ones, emotional ones, unexpected ones, all built around the version of you her mind hasn't stopped exploring. These imagined conversations feel real to her body, real enough to evoke emotion, real enough to make her look forward to seeing you again, even if she pretends otherwise. She mentally compares other men to you, not consciously, not intentionally, but automatically. Every man she encounters feels flatter, lighter, thinner compared to the emotional depth you slipped into her system. Their presence feels small. Their words feel empty. Their energy feels out of tune. You become the subconscious standard she measures others against, even if she never admits it to herself. And then the deepest sign of all, she replays your tone, your eyes, your presence, not the conversation. You. The way your gaze held her a second too long, the calmness in your voice when you spoke the truth, the steadiness in your posture that made her feel understood and unsettled at the same time. These details embed themselves into her emotional memory, and her body responds each time the thought resurfaces. This happens because her mind attaches meaning. Her body attaches memory. Her emotions attach possibility. And once meaning, memory, and possibility intertwine, you're no longer just a man she spoke to. You become a story she continues to tell herself in silence. This is how emotional imprinting works. You don't occupy her schedule. You occupy her imagination. You live in the parts of her mind she cannot control, the parts that activate when she's alone, when she's tired, when she's vulnerable, when her guard is down, and suddenly, you live in her head without even being there. It's not obsession, it's imprint. At the end of it all, you realize something most men never understand. A woman doesn't think about you because you entertained her, impressed her, or dazzled her with perfectly crafted conversation. What stays with her is not skill, not performance, not charm. Those things fade the moment the night ends. What lingers is emotional resonance, the internal shift you triggered without even trying. The feeling she can't explain, the spark she didn't expect, the depth she wasn't prepared to encounter. You don't become unforgettable by being loud. You become unforgettable by being felt. The world is full of men trying to impress women with techniques, lines, routines, and personas that crumble the instant pressure hits. But imprinting Imprinting happens when you awaken something inside her that she can't silence. When the emotional tone of your presence changes the emotional temperature of her world. She won't remember what you said, but she'll remember how her chest tightened when you looked at her a certain way. She won't remember every joke, but she'll remember the exact moment she realized you weren't performing like every other man. She won't remember the details of the story you told, but she'll remember the depth in your voice when you shared something real, something human. Because imprint is not created through effort. It's created through impact. It's born from presence, from authenticity, from truth delivered without fear, from the quiet confidence of a man who knows who he is and doesn't shrink or swell for anyone. That's why one conversation can haunt her for weeks, not because of the content, but because of the emotional fingerprint you left on her psyche. A shift in her breath, a change in her posture, a tremor she tries to hide but can't forget. If one conversation can change her energy, it can change her memory. And if it changes her memory, you become impossible to forget. She won't know why she keeps replaying you. She won't know why she compares other men to a standard they can't see. She won't know why one moment with you feels heavier than hours with someone else. But you will, because you didn't impress her into remembering you. You imprinted yourself into her. If this video shifted something inside you, if it opened a door into the hidden side of female psychology you were never taught to see, then understand this. You've only taken the first step. Emotional imprinting isn't an accident. It isn't luck. It isn't some mysterious force that only certain men possess. It's a skill guided by awareness, presence, and depth. And once you understand how desire forms in the female mind, once you see the emotional architecture behind attraction, you stop trying to convince women. You stop performing for them. You stop chasing reactions or approval. Instead, you become the man whose presence does the work for him. The man who leaves a mark without forcing it. The man who speaks once and echoes in her chest for days. If you want the next video revealing how to intentionally create emotional imprint without manipulation, how to speak in a way that reaches her nervous system, how to hold yourself in a way that grounds her, how to create a moment she feels long after she leaves, hit subscribe right now. Not later. Now. Because this channel isn't for men who want tricks. It's for men who want truth. The truth about how women feel, think, desire, and bond on a level deeper than words. And the moment you understand that truth, you step into a different tier of masculinity. A tier where your silence speaks louder than most men's sentences. A tier where your presence is more powerful than your appearance. A tier where women remember you not because you tried, but because you were unforgettable without effort. Share this video with a man who doesn't realize his presence is more powerful than his words. A man who keeps talking, performing, filling the air, and never realizes the real impact happens in the spaces between. Comment your experience below. The moment you realized a woman kept replaying you long after the conversation ended. The moment her eyes told you she remembered something you didn't think mattered. The moment you learned that imprint is stronger than impression. Welcome to the level of awareness most men never reach. This is where you stop being forgettable and start becoming the man she never stops thinking about.